At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. What if the future of modular housing was designed like a world-class digital experience? Simple, scalable, and stunningly precise. Today's guest is doing exactly that. Welcome back, everybody, to Dave Cooper Live, where we spotlight the people and ideas transforming the built environment. And joining me today is Kelly Pickering, founder of Addazu, a company that blends atomic design with advanced manufacturing to deliver smarter, leaner modular housing. From bootstrapping to breakthrough projects like Blackburn Commons, Addazu is proving that innovation and affordability can go hand in hand. But first, before we get into today's show, a big shout out to Cobalt Creed. They service builders, developers, prefab home builders, and manufacturing, allowing them to achieve the highest levels of comfort, indoor air quality, and low energy costs with their HVAC systems installed for their projects and their customers. Their approach is simple. By using their proprietary small duct, high velocity central heating and cooling system. If you want to learn more, go to cobaltcreed.com. And without further ado, let's thank these supporting members as well. And then we're going to bring Kelly on to the show. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. Brought to you by Greatech, one of the largest Autodesk partners globally and software developer of the PowerPack Advanced Design, Advanced Steel, and the StruxSoft product line. The complete solution to automate wood and light gauge steel framing, design, and documentation all the way out to CNC output. Model, design, and manufacture with StruxSoft. Learn more at StruxSoftSolutions.com. All right. Again, thank you to all of our supporting members. We cannot continue to bring you all these innovative, informative conversations without them. And a big shout out to all of our supporting members below as well. We're really happy to welcome EcoMod to our group. So thank you, EcoMod, for joining us. If you haven't checked out their products, you should go to ecomod.com and check out everything that they're doing. And if you want to be part of this show and you'd like some shout outs from Dave Cooper Live, or you just get value out of the things that we are reporting on this show, the products we're reporting, the people we're bringing on, hey, just reach out to us. We'd love to have your support so we can continue bringing you all these great informative conversations. Okay, without further ado, let's bring Kelly onto the show. Kelly, how are you, my friend?
Great, Dave. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, man, no thanks to me. Thanks to you for taking time to come on the show and tell us a little bit about what you're doing. Atomic Design. Come on, man. I'm ready to blow some stuff up today. Let's have some fun and learn about it. But first, before we get into that, Kelly, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or I'm going to have your wife come on the show, and she's going to explain a lot to us. So I'd be careful what you say, but get into it, and then we'll talk about Addazu and what you're about.
Yeah, so I mean, I won't go as far back as when I entered into the world, but I'm a Colorado native and born here outside of Denver. Grew up in California, very influenced by my family kind of living all over the United States. My father is actually in the construction industry. He's an industrial electrician. He's built all sorts of crazy products with solar powered electrical plants all the way to nuclear powered stuff. And so I was really inspired by that growing up. I worked with him for a number of summers as a grunt, shoveling sand and pouring concrete and running electrical lines. But as my career progressed, I got into the product development space, really focused on digital product development. That's where the concepts of atomic design really kind of took root, which is, really just trying to boil down complex systems into, a bunch of repeatable parts. And I always knew I wanted to get into the physical product realm. So I got my master's degree up at Colorado School of Mines. And that's where I noticed the gap in the housing industry, and just trying to apply my experiences and my expertise into, really thinking about what a house is, and boiling that down to its simplest pieces and parts and making those repeatable. And so with that, we really focused on kind of the structural components first as our product launch, and how do we synthesize that into a highly repeatable system that can be utilized in a variety of structures, whether that be, tiny home, single family, multifamily, et cetera. And so that's really just driven the philosophy that we've been undertaking here at Addazu.
So with Addazu, right? And I think I got it right that time. I heard you say it. What does the name Addazu mean before we get into this?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get called out on this, like I said earlier, but it means adapt in Welsh. So I have a family history back there. And so the entire antithesis behind it was to how do we think about adapting our building practices? And then also, how do we make the building more adaptable, or the system that we build with more adaptable for the specific need state of the end resident or user, if you will.
Love it. Love it. All right. And I have one more question, right? And I heard your opening kind of story there, but at what point did you sit down and go, yeah, I got to start a company. This isn't working the way I've been doing it. The way my dad was doing it almost broke my back, right? All these things that we hear in our industry being in last place when it comes to technology and innovation, the construction industry. So with that said, how did it start, Kelly? Like give us the moment, the aha moment, and then I want to hop into what this kit apart looks like.
Yeah. Well, so I went back to school to get my master's degree at Colorado School of Mines in advanced manufacturing under Dr. Craig Bryce, and it was right during COVID lockdown, first semester back to school. I'm obviously not a traditional student, right? By the gray hair on my beard, but my wife and I were sitting in our backyard. We're family planning, talking about the next kid that we were trying to fit into the mix. And that's when the concept of, pushing out our house and building up, et cetera, right? Making an addition. And I don't know what happened, but I had this concept of, everything that's in that house at that moment was captured waste in some form, right? It's really hard to reuse. There's no way we could pull the timber out and reuse it in the new addition, et cetera. So something kind of sparked in that thought process. And I looked at my wife and I said, what if we could, pull these walls off and reuse them in the addition? And I'm sure she regrets this statement today, but she said, oh, that's a cool idea. And that was 5 years ago. And now I can't let it go. I don't know what the problem is, but that was it
Right.
set me down this path.
And you're still married.
Well, we'll see, but yes, as of today, I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk. All right. So here's the idea. Walk me through your market approach. Like how did you start pulling this together, and what was your approach to try and start bringing this to market?
Yeah. So, during my program there at Mines, the intent was really to start small, make incremental jumps and leaps so we can really minimize the capital expenditures that we were undertaking, really taking the kind of lean startup model approach. And I was very intent on trying to bootstrap this thing as long as we could to, just prove out market and really focus on kind of the customer discovery side of the business development. And so our first step was kind of proof of concept, build out a lightweight prototype model that we could test and validate some of our early hypothesis, and then pivot and change based off of, what type of material would be optimal, what type of features the customer would want, et cetera. And then from there, we went into kind of the proof of manufacturing. So how can we manufacture this product, and what type of manufacturing processes would we need? And then from there, now we're scaling into kind of our proof of delivery, or proof of occupancy, as I like to call it, and then proof of scale, which would be our larger development that we're currently working on.
Got it. So we have a bit of a presentation, some photos. We're going to take a look at the kit of parts. I'm going to put that on screen. Why don't you walk us through what we're seeing, and you can control how the screen moves, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. So just to kind of start, this is just a few of our base components, if you will. You can see our floor cassettes, our wall cassettes, and then our roof cassettes. And we're able to kind of develop these in a wide variety of geometries, et cetera, to apply specifically for the general projects. But as you can see, the underlying material is pretty known to the industry, right? We're light gauge steel. All of our cassettes are built to very specific geometries so they can be repeatable and replaceable. So you can exchange a window with a wall, or a solid wall, or a door, et cetera, but they're all engineered to the same level of standards. And then that allows us to, create that economics of scale to help keep pricing down per component. And then we've also expanded this kit library, if you will, to larger panels, et cetera. So you're setting larger spans at individual times. And then from there, you can see what we like to call our proof of manufacturing. This is the 13,000 foot elevation mining cabin that we developed. So we had to actually bring this product in via a helicopter the last 2 miles, because it was up a pretty treacherous street trail, so we couldn't drive it in. That was pretty harrowing. A little bit of a video here of the panels getting flown in, and that was a really unique experience, because the challenges of logistics of coordinating a helicopter and then landing zone and all of that stuff on the side of a mountain in rural Colorado was pretty fun. And then from there, now we're kind of scaling up to larger projects where we are, well, actually, I'll show you how kind of the kit comes together first. So this is the platform that we built on with our floor cassettes. That's my co-founder, David Boone, and our customer that we were working with up there. And then the walls came in again, fully sheathed. And then we also fabricated all the internal electrical cladding materials and then stood them up individually. And as you can see, they're light enough to be moved with just a couple guys on the side of a mountain. And then talking about where we're scaling and where we're going next, we're really looking to provide more affordable products, helping increase kind of the soft density model by providing ADUs. So this is one of the models that you see here that we're currently working on here in the Denver metro area. And then from there, we're able to kind of skin this same layout, if you will, right, in a variety of ways to provide a little bit more architectural interest based off of customer needs. And so these are some explorative designs. I didn't say that very well, but this is kind of more of a contemporary version. This is a little bit more of a traditional kind of cottage style. And then again, looking at a little bit more modern aesthetics. But what this allows us to do is just be a lot more versatile based off of the, customers' designs and preferences. And with the panel orientation that we have, we can move things around a lot easier and say, swing the stairs from the north side to the south side, move the, the south garage door there to the opposite side of the building with minimal engineering costs, because we did all of that all that engineering pre-construction or pre-architectural design.
So let me ask you something real quick. And with the kit of parts, how many parts and pieces are in your kit? I mean, I'm sure it's ever growing and changing, but how many different pieces are it? And it also looked like it went together in kind of a track format when I was looking at some of those, the mining camp there, right? You could almost see that there was tracks. Walk us through the design and build on that before we get into more of your multifamily units and others.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely correct with the expanding library, right? But what I can say with that is, to kind of maybe reel back the question a little bit, is what we're trying to do is really focus on standardizing the unique pieces that go into all of those kits of parts, right? So all the vertical studs, all the header tracks, all the trusses, etc., are highly standardized, so we can use those same pieces over and over. So it's not necessarily that the wall component is a unique SKU, right, per se, but it's the elements that go into those wall components that are highly standardized. What we're really excited about with that is, let's say one of those gets damaged, etc., you can trace that back from the manufacturing processes, etc., and then replace that same exact stud with one of the ones that is kind of off the shelf, right? So it allows us to be very systemized in that approach.
Why are you doing cold form steel versus wood?
Waste reduction is one of the bigger factors, right? Like, it can come straight off of the spool. We could minimize the amount of material used. The other thing too is just from a standardization of material, we believe the quality and the QC process of manufacturing is a lot better. You can get truer walls as they're coming off of the line. And then the other side of the equation is resiliency, right? Like, you look at everything that's happening in California. Colorado is a big wildfire state, so we have a lot of fire issues and natural disaster issues. And so the fire resiliency of the material alone helps from an insurability perspective, and then just quality of the environment as well.
The wall system that you're using, is it open panel, closed panel? Are you including MEPs, electrical, wiring, plumbing?
Yeah, right now we're doing an open panel system, and we are just providing exterior insulation and sheathing and structural elements, and then interior walls. So we don't do the finish out at this point. We're looking at future product features where we can include MEP, etc. But we realize that our optimal market entry was that structural component versus the actual, fully embedded mechanical, electrical, plumbing, closed panel system. We really want to focus also on on local economic generation, if that makes sense. So how can we feed more of the work into the local economy to not just make housing more affordable by bringing the price point down, but make it more affordable by bringing local incomes up, because we're employing more folks in the environments that we're building in.
Yeah, when you say employing more folks, collaboration seems to be at the core of your company, at your work. How are you partnering with other agencies, housing authorities, and folks to bring all this together?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a firm believer in the tide rises all boats, right? And I think housing is such a complex issue. There's no way we can't collaborate. And also, I'm not Tony Stark or anything. I can't build an Iron Man suit on my own. So we have to work with folks that have expertise that we don't. And so we've really highlighted the need to work with local housing authorities, specifically in the kind of Jefferson County area where we're located in, to identify projects, identify alternative funding sources, and then build a product that can actually help support the area median incomes that we're targeting to build for.
Your design approach, atomic design. Where is that a software? Like what does atomic design mean? Walk us through how you're designing this and what's so special about the way you guys are designing that you call it atomic design. I mean, it's like you blew up the old traditional way and said we're doing it, this way. What does it mean?
Yeah, so Atomic Design is a book by a designer named Brad Frost, and it comes from my time as a digital product designer. And basically, the gist of it is, you take these complex systems, boil them down to the simplest parts, and then make those parts repeatable, like I've mentioned before, right? So you have the atom goes into the molecule, goes into the organism, et cetera, right? And I don't want to nerd out on that too much, but the point being is how do you make the simplest piece of the whole system repeatable so you can use it over and over again and minimize the kind of the design infrastructure that is needed to build the product itself, right? So and what that really is intended from my perspective to do is decrease a lot of that upfront cost. You can pull down the design cost, engineering cost, etc. And then also from a fabrication perspective, what you're producing. You're really getting very diligent about the number of stud SKUs, etc. that you're pulling off of a line, so that you can reduce the all of that infrastructure management, SKU management, etc., and help pull cost out of it in every step of the way in the upfront.
When simple is hard, right? And getting back to it is, right? And I see you smile. Simplicity is hard. And then you try and take that and you match it with the complexity of manufacturing. When you're looking at manufacturing, are we looking at automation with this? Is that why we're keeping it simple? Are we looking at, more of a manual process, kind of pop-up factories? Walk us through how the design actually fits in with the complexity of manufacturing and how you're going to do that as you grow.
Sure. I mean, I think automation in manufacturing has to be there to help keep cost controls in check, right? We're not at the place where automation is highly involved in the assembly process of the cassettes, if you will. That's still a fairly manual process. I think a lot of the details need to be figured out within the system before we can really introduce a lot more automation on the downstream side, post using the cold form steel extrusion machines, right? So eventually, yes, automation needs to be a large part of the equation, but I think where true automation is going to come to life for us is in digital twinning and kind of better understanding that supply chain transparency of material to delivery to assembly, and understanding what's wall SKUs, et cetera, go where, so that you can pull up your BIM model in 3D in the field, understand what wall is going where, how it goes in, and kind of decrease that learning curve for some of the field labor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Let's go back and take a look at some more of your projects, and then we'll get into some of the other details.
Yeah. So again, going back to kind of our accessory dwelling units, what we're trying to do now is scale that same concept of repeatability and standardization of layouts into more of a townhome multifamily development. This is a project that we're working on here in Colorado. We're loosely naming it Blackburn Commons. It's a mix of quadplexes and triplexes. So the unit you see here is a quadplex design where every individual kind of apartment, if you will, has a single floor, and then there's a two-car garages on the north side of the building, if you will, right? And then that same design is utilized to develop a triplex. So we're just lopping off the top floor, but we're using the same structural, roof components or cassettes for the triplex or quadplex. So we can standardize the engineering and again the design thinking to be a lot more diligent about how we were actually approaching the project. And then that scales into a few other variations that we're going to use on the parcel with this, again, quadplex that has the 3 units on the right and then 1 on the left there above the garages. And then again, scaling into a triplex where we're pulling off that top floor. And with that also, we're able to take those same footprints and really adapt the structure themselves to reduce it down to a single freestanding triplex where one of the garages is embedded in the back of this. And what we're really excited about is based off of our geometries, we can change that to a standard gable roof or an overhang or a single slope, kind of like you have here. And then you can introduce some of these setbacks that you see in this design. And what I really like is the materiality flexibility that you can utilize with our system. So we're not set to a standard, external finishing material. You can get pretty creative with that.
How are the walls layered? So you got your cold form steel studs. Then you have, what are you using for sheathing on that?
Currently, we're mostly speccing like a zip R,
Got it.
doing 6 or 9/6 zip R on the exterior, but looking at also other alternatives. We really would like to figure out an alternative model. We're doing some prototyping right now with some material scientists here in Denver that really will help increase the resiliency. And when we get that all lined up and into market, I'll jump back on and tell you all about it.
Yeah, definitely would, especially if you have some really new cool products that make, manufacturing and installation much easier.
Yeah.
Awesome. Got it. So where are you now? So you started out with the cabin, then you went to the ADU, and then you're looking at housing, then you're looking at multifamily, right? How do you know where to start with this? Like what kit apart? Like what part do you start with first as you're trying to grow this, or do you just have to keep reiterating and adjusting and making new parts as you're expanding the product line?
Yeah, no, everything really hinges off of the floor cassette, right? So we've started with this kind of 1x1 floor cassette as our base component, and that really drives the design, the underlying design from there. And so when we work with an architectural partner, they'll come to us and say, okay, this is the floor plan layout, et cetera, that we want to build, but your kit of parts, I want this feature. So we'll say, okay, this is how we can engineer that using either the panels that exist or introduce a new part, right? Or a new cassette. But the main thing is just saying this is the grid-based system that we work within, and this is how we expand on that grid-based system, and how we get pretty diligent about utilizing and sticking to that.
Your panels, when they come together, walk me through the process. Is it different than other, wood panel manufacturers other than screwing and nailing, or do you have a proprietary kind of clip system that everything clicks together?
Now, and you're using standard mechanical connections. We're trying to be diligent about not introducing too many new innovations into the product, right? What I've learned over my years is when you innovate too much, people walk away from it. There's too many things to understand. And so we're introducing this new grid-based design. So why would we try to innovate by, having a proprietary connection methodology, right? So while it does open us up to, not having more IP that we can hold on to, I think that's a good thing, because it allows for greater market adoption, because the guy already has the tool in his belt, right? He doesn't need to buy a new tool or understand a new process, etc. You're just pulling out a standard screw and you're tapping it in like you normally would.
Can a DIYer do this, or are we still looking at having professional set crews pull these together?
I mean, at the end of the day, I did it. I'm not a
Yeah, I mean, you grew up
worker.
doing it. I grew up doing it, so.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a base level of understanding, right? Like, you can't just like pull out a impact wrench and not know how to use it to begin with. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, the mining cabin, right? Like, the owner that we built that for, he's a DIYer, and he had some challenges with it, but nonetheless, yes, DIY could, but definitely not. They're not building a multi-family development on their own.
Right. I just love the fact that you flew this in with a helicopter. And folks, if you're watching and you are a DIY expert out there, I mean, this gray hair that Kelly and I have didn't come from easy learns. I can tell you that. But this is really exciting stuff. So Kelly, talk to me a little bit about some of the learns along the way, because one of the things in our industry. It's growing fast. There's a lot of new people with new ideas, similar to what you guys are doing at your company coming online. And it's not as easy as it looks, is it?
No. It's not easy at all. And I think the biggest challenge is understanding capital requirements and capital constraints that you're going to run into, really understanding stakeholders and the challenges that you're going to run into at all the levels of stakeholder adoption, right? From design to engineering to, municipalities allowing it to even be built in their jurisdiction, right? So I think the biggest learning for me is just being able to have a conversation and be humble enough to know when you're wrong, and being willing to change your perspective, but stay really hard line on your vision, right? So I'm open to hearing different voices and different opinions, but I have to stay true to the vision of helping deliver missing middle housing, right? Like, that's the underlying core of it all.
Oh, listen, we got people living on the streets in every city across this country, veterans and the like. So you bootstrapped this company. I mean, literally bootstrapped it. Tell us a little bit about how many Kellys are on the team, working on this with you, and walk us through, why bootstrap? Why didn't you go out and just get a buttload of money from somebody and try and pull this all together in one fell swoop?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing why bootstrapping it was, we went out and got some small grants and some small angel investors to get through some of the early milestones that we needed. And the biggest reason is we wanted to be smart with the capital. We didn't want to go out and try to force fit a product into market. We really wanted to better understand the whys it might be adopted, or what product would really resonate. And so I actually feel that sometimes force feeding capital into a business is kind of a death mark, right? And so there does come a point where you need to bring on real dollars to scale, and we're quickly approaching that point. But early stages, I really wanted to just focus on proving market and designing the product that somebody's going to buy, and allow the customers to drive that adoption. And as far as Kelly's on the team, there's definitely only one of me, thank God. But we have me and my co-founder at the moment, and then we have an external team of amazing partners, engineering, etc.
Where do you go from here? Talk to me about factory setup. Are you opening your own factory? Are you looking for partners to open factories with? Walk me through what the next phase looks like for Addazu.
Yeah, right now we're still focused on kind of third-party manufacturing. We believe that allows us to get faster to market than building our own facility, and allows us to kind of help maintain or cap the capex expenditures, right, and opex expenditures. So we're still focused on that in the near term. But as far as where we go from here, I think the biggest opportunity that we're looking for is, again, development partners, folks that are interested in really solving this problem. And I hate saying it this way, but putting their money where their mouth is, and making an investment in the space, because home ownership is harder and harder to attain, and it's what helped me achieve what I've achieved in my life, and this is my way of kind of paying it forward or giving back.
So if I heard you correctly, you're looking for partners financially to grow with, to do development with. So if you're out there and you're watching this, Kelly's open to a great conversation, and you can already tell you're a good guy and you're really trying to do the right thing. And I will tell you your story in the beginning about, we're having kids. My wife and I went through this. Jennifer and I, same thing, right? That's what got us into talking about housing, because, how do you do it? How do you afford it? It's so expensive today. Even for people that have been successful, it's really, really expensive. And, that's kind of what drove us to start, talking about it, because the way it is right now, your kids, my kids, are going to have a really hard time affording a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just remember my I was blessed, man. My father is an amazing guy, saved up some decent money and gave me a $5,000, down payment for the house, right, that I had to repay. And that's what got me into ownership. And like, that's not going to do it, that's not going to get us there. And so, we need to find a way of providing, either more housing stock or better opportunities for individuals. And so that's where this Blackburn Commons that we're looking at, it's a for rent product, but we're really trying to keep monthly costs down from rent to utilities by introducing, sustainable energy generation and heating and cooling, so we can control monthly costs year over year, so they're not escalating. And then that'll allow folks to save up to step into ownership and start building that generational wealth.
Is that the community here that we're looking at? Let me go to a smaller picture so people can see it. So this is in the works. Tell us about what product you have that'll be going into this, and also is this approved and ready to go?
We're still in early conceptual stages, and working with the landowner on the product itself. And so what you see here is kind of the top-down site plan for the mix of triplexes and quadplexes. There's about 19 structures here, total 62 units, and it's a mix of two bedrooms and two bedroom, two bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So scaling from about 980 square feet to 1,200 square feet.
Yeah. Now this is a rendering of what that's going to possibly look like.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah. Tell me about the infrastructure when you do a project like this. And when I say that, I went and visited this awesome project in Texas a few years ago, and the general contractor and the builder actually worked with the site folks to pre-prep everything for geothermal, right? They had some set standards on how they were going to do this. So when the build came, in this case from the factory, everything's already in place and ready to go for each house or each unit. Is that kind of the similar approach you're looking at here?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, to really be like diligent about how we look at developments, we're trying to look at even the build as a modular based approach, right? So how can we be really thoughtful of not just how everything connects, but how does it scale from unit to unit to unit, right? And so yes is the answer. We're looking at if we do end up, say, including geothermal, which we're investigating, or solar thermal even, how do those kind of work from a modular perspective? And what we're really excited about that is if we can solve it on an individual structural level, then we can scale it up based off of how many units you have per lot, if that makes sense.
Right. It does. It does. Kelly, is there anything that we missed? Anything that you want to share with, the audience that's watching out there? And there is quite a bit of them today. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Lessons learned, advice for anybody looking to get involved.
Oh, and advice, I would say, be persistent, get a good therapist, make sure you're walking a lot and getting exercises so you can take care of yourself while you're doing this. But I was joking about the therapist thing, but it's just be resilient and be willing to just, really continue to attack the problem, because it's not an easy nut to crack.
Yeah.
And so if you are interested in the space, just keep at it. Persistence. The only thing that I've learned in this life is, if you don't let go,
Right.
eventually something's going to catch on. Right.
That's how it works, and listen, no matter what we do, we need people like yourself out there trying to do it better. The way we've been building doesn't work. You can drive around and see that all day long, everywhere you go. And just like my kids, they'd rather play Fortnite than swing a hammer or walk on a cold sill plate, on a fall or winter morning. So yeah. You got some supporters out there as well. You got Jean Lion Lotus. She said, "Go Kelly." Jean, thank you for tuning in. We love it. We're going to wrap up here in a second. Hey, Doug Hayden's out there already. He said he already loves this guy. He loves the vision. Doug, good seeing you. I hope all is well in your world as well. Kelly, I appreciate you coming on today's show. I appreciate you sharing your mission and everything you guys are doing. And if you're watching this, get involved. It's that simple. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, you send me an email. Contact us at build@addazu.com. That's ADDAZU.com. We're looking at projects and we're looking for collaborators. Anybody who wants to make a little bit of a stink in the industry, reach out. We're willing.
I love it. All right, everybody. So if you are watching this, just know it's Wednesday. You still got 2.5 days to keep building it better. And if you need help doing it, this guy right here, Kelly Pickering, well, they can help you do that as well. I'm Dave Cooper. Thank you for watching. Kelly, stick around. I'll come right back to you after the end of the show. Thanks so much. We'll see you. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.